The CEO's Soulmate, forged in the fire of real love. Esther Peters, affectionately dubbed the Cybertruck Queen by her 100-plus employees ever since the angular beast rolled into the compound, was ready to head to the office. Her empire, her rules. Esther's days had the precision of a Swiss watch. At 6:03 a.m., the Cybertruck's gull-wing doors lifted like a theater curtain. By 6:07, she was gliding past the gate guards, who still stumbled over Esther instead of Ma. She liked the stumble. It reminded her that power could be quiet. That morning, the stumble was different. A courier on a battered Okada weaved through the compound, helmet tucked under one arm, envelope in the other. The guards tried to wave him off, but Esther recognized the seal, an old wax crest her grandmother used to press into letters from the village. She rolled the window down. "Esther," the courier said, breathless, "from the house in Ile-Ife, your auntie say make I bring sharp." The envelope was heavy, the paper thick as hide. Inside lay a single brass key and a note in her auntie's spidery hand. "The door you never opened is waiting. Midnight, the old library behind the palace. Come alone." Esther laughed aloud. She had not been to Ile-Ife in 15 years, not since the funeral where cousins fought over land, and she swore never to return. Yet, the key felt warm, almost alive against her palm. She slipped it into the Cybertruck's glove box and forgot it, until the sky over Lagos turned the color of burnt copper, and every traffic light blinked the same cryptic sequence. At 11:47 p.m., she was still at her desk, signing off on a merger that would add 2,000 clients by dawn. The key glinted under the LED strips. She told herself it was curiosity, nothing more. She locked the office, left the Cybertruck in the basement, and took a Donfo to the park where night buses left for the east. No one noticed the CEO in the back row, hoodie up, 6-inch heels swapped for sneakers. The library behind the palace had been boarded up since the 80s. Moonlight slipped through the slats and painted silver bars across dusty shelves. Esther's phone had no signal. The brass key turned in a lock that should have rusted shut decades ago. The door sighed open on oiled hinges. Inside, the air smelled of frankincense and old paper. A single bulb flickered to life overhead. Books were gone. In their place stood rows of servers humming like a hive. Between them, a man in a linen shirt typed code into a holographic display. He looked up, startled, then smiled as if he'd been expecting her all along. "You're early, or I'm late. Hard to tell since you are the CEO." Esther's hand went to the pepper spray in her pocket. "Who are you, and why is my late auntie sending me to a server room?" "Jason," he answered, closing the hologram with a flick. "And your auntie didn't send you. The key did. I only followed its instructions since you refused to accept it from your late auntie. Look, I don't need any land from them." Then Jason's explanation came in clipped sentences. Data archaeologist, colonial ledger, bloodline cipher. But as he spoke, Esther noticed the shadows between the server racks move. Wrongly, a silhouette detached itself, taller than Jason, faceless. Her pulse spiked. Jason followed her gaze, swore under his breath, and yanked a cable from the wall. The bulb died. Darkness swallowed them. "Stay close," he whispered, hand finding hers in the blackout. His grip was steady, calloused, real. Servers whirred down to silence. Somewhere, a door creaked. Footsteps, measured, deliberate, circled the room. Esther's mind raced. Jason pulled her behind a pillar, breath warm against her ear. The ledger's worth millions in land. Someone wants it buried again. The footsteps stopped. A red laser dot danced across the wall, inches from her cheek. Jason's thumb brushed her knuckles. Once. Twice. A silent wait. Then the emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in blood red. The silhouette was gone. Only a single playing card lay on the floor, the Queen of Spades, face scratched out. Jason pocketed it. We're not alone tonight. It was now 3:12 a.m. They worked in the red glow, shoulders brushing as glyphs scrolled. When the ledger finally unlocked, Jason exhaled like a man surfacing from deep water. Esther's pulse was still hammered. "Look," he whispered, pointing to her name. She leaned in. Their forearms touched, barely, but the contact crackled. Esther froze. Jason didn't move. The air between them suddenly too small. Guardian born 1995-05-11, Sunday 6:30 a.m. He read, voice rough. His breath stirred the fine hairs at her temple. She should step back. Instead, her fingers curled around the console, knuckles whitening. Jason's hand hovered, then settled over hers, warm, steady.
"You feel it too," he said. "Static electricity." He smiled, scar pulling tight. "Sure, let's call it that." Neither let go until the bulb flickered and died, plunging them into darkness lit only by the glow of her name. They sat there for hours, Jason explaining to Esther the significance of freeing the ledger from the hands of these wicked people and why she's the only one who can fulfill the wishes of her ancestors. At dawn, Esther returned home holding the key tightly in her palms. Jason wanted to come with her, but she refused, assuring him that she was fine and he should handle the information they just discovered. "Make sure the ledger comes to live," she ordered, and walked away with the brass key in hand like a key bearer. 3 nights later, Esther's phone buzzed at 2:07 a.m. Unknown number, Ile-Ife code, a distorted voice. "The key bearer dies at the next full moon. Return what isn't yours." Click. She sat up in bed, heart racing. The brass key lay on her nightstand, now cold. She drove her Cybertruck to Ile-Ife unannounced, arriving as dawn bled gold across the palace walls. Jason was already in the lab, eyes bloodshot, 3 empty coffee cups beside him. "You shouldn't have come alone," he said, but relief softened the words. "Someone threatened my life. I don't delegate death threats." He laughed, short, surprised, then sobered. "The Queen of Spades is a calling card, old smuggling ring. They hid artifacts in the ledger's margins. Decoding it exposes them." Esther's fingers brushed the scar on his jaw. "This from them?" "Long story. Short version, I said no to smuggling when I was 20. They don't forget." The air thickened. Outside, thunder growled though the sky was clear. "I discovered something at the cocoa farm owned by your auntie. I haven't been there though, but these leads are directing me there." "So let's go then." "It is not a one-day discovery. You have a company to run in Lagos. This is also my business. I am an only child and everyone in my family called me a bastard because my mother was raped. My late aunt raised me after the death of my mother. I was just 7 years old." She held back her tears and continued. "Now my late aunt, who made me the woman I am today, somehow sends me a key to a family heritage I never wanted because my cousins made me feel not deserving of anything. And you think I will just go home and sleep?" Okay then, I can keep you in my little cave for some days while we explore this together, but I must warn you, there is no luxury there. Trust me when I say I didn't get to where I am through luxuries. Esther followed Jason to his hideout in the caves, but on getting there, they found it turned over. His files, lampstands, and little bed with 2 bags of books had been ransacked. They immediately fled to the farm for safety and space to think. Between rows of young trees, dusk bled violet. Esther wore rubber boots she found lying under a tree. Jason's linen shirt was streaked with earth. "Try this pod," he said, splitting one. The scent, sweet, sharp, filled the space between them. She rolled a bean across her tongue. His eyes tracked the motion. "Too bitter?" "Perfect," she lied. It was raw, like the ache whenever he was near. Just then, Breeze lifted her hair. Jason reached to tuck a strand behind her ear, then stopped, hand suspended. "May I?" The question undid her. She nodded. His fingertips grazed her cheekbone, lingered, then withdrew. "Esther," he started, then shook his head. "I'm no good at wanting something I'm terrified to break." She stepped closer, boots sinking into loam, until his shirt buttons brushed her blouse. "Then don't break it. Build it with me." His answer was a shaky inhale. Their lips hovered a breath apart, then headlights swept the path. A black SUV idled at the gate. Tinted windows, no plates. They ran. Branches clawed Esther's arms. Jason pulled her deeper into the cocoa. The SUV's doors opened, 3 figures in masks. Flashlights sliced the dark. Jason yanked her behind a tree, hand over her mouth. His heart hammered against her back. "Count to 30, then head for the stream. I'll draw them." "No!" "Trust me." He pressed something into her palm. The brass key, now warm again. Then he was gone, crashing noisily in the opposite direction with the mission to find the missing piece that directed him to the farm. Esther counted. At 28, a gunshot cracked. She bolted. The stream glittered ahead. She waded in, boots filling with cold water. Behind her, shouts. Another shot. She tripped, key slipping from her fingers into the current, determined to stay alive and hoping to meet Jason at the lab if he makes it. She found Jason at the lab, shirt torn, blood at his temple. After hours of hiding in the bushes till it was very dark to head there. "You're hurt," she said, voice cracking. "Grazed. They got the decoy drive. But I found the missing piece. The backup save." He pulled her into the server room, barricaded the door with a desk. Lightning flashed. Thunder followed like artillery. Esther cleaned the wound with vodka from his flask. Her hands shook. "I thought—" She couldn't finish. Jason caught her wrists. "I'm here." The lights died. Emergency red bathed them. Esther's silk shirt clung with sweat. Jason's breath was ragged. "We did it," she said of the backup save. "We," he echoed. His hand found the small of her back. She answered by sliding her palm up his chest, feeling the frantic beat. "Esther." A plea. She rose on tiptoe. Their lips met, soft, then desperate, tasting cocoa dust and storm. When they broke apart, foreheads touching, he laughed against her mouth. "Static electricity? Shut up and kiss me again." They did, until the door rattled, someone trying to force it. Esther and Jason had one chance: upload the ledger to a public blockchain at midnight, when Palace Wi-Fi peaked. But the server room was compromised. They split up, Esther to the roof with a satellite uplink, Jason to the basement generator. At 11:53, her uplink jammed. Footsteps on the stairs. She hid behind the Cybertruck, key now a pendant around her neck. Jason's voice crackled through her earpiece. Generators rigged to blow. Get out. Not without you. At 11:57, the smugglers breached the roof. Esther typed the final command one-handed, the other clutching pepper spray. At 11:59, Jason burst through the stairwell, bleeding from the arm, carrying a fire axe. He swung, sparks flew. The uplink blinked green. Upload complete. At midnight, the ledger went live. Sirens wailed. Police, tipped off by the blockchain ping. The smugglers scattered. Finally, the ledger came to life. No longer buried to be exploited by wicked family members. The keeper of the brass key, Esther Peters, did it with her newfound partner, Jason Olamide. Months later, when the dust had settled, the break of dawn painted Lagos State gold. Jason had strung fairy lights, the Cybertruck's cable snaked between them. He knelt, brass gear gleaming. I practiced for weeks, forgot every word when you stepped out in that red dress. Red is power. You wear power like skin. He took her hand, thumb tracing her callus. Marry me, Esther. Not because a ledger says we're bound, because every variable in my life recalculates when you walk in. Tears threatened. She sank to her knees. Yes, but promise to keep surprising me. He slipped the gear on. It fit. Then he kissed her, slow, deliberate, rewriting contracts in daylight. The Cybertruck's headlights blinked approval. Epilogue. The cocoa farm thrived. The lab taught kids to code. Every full moon, the library door opened for anyone with the right blood and heart. Esther and Jason rarely needed it. They'd built their own door, forged in fire, chased by shadows, sealed with the love that arrived exactly when it was meant to. Unexpected, undeniable, entirely theirs. If you loved this wild ride of mystery, danger, and unstoppable love, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story. Drop a fire in the comments if you believe soulmates are written in code. And tell us, would you follow a midnight key into the unknown? Watch next, The Billionaire's Secret Heir, coming soon.